Welcome back. All eyes on Cleveland, Ohio tonight as President Trump and Joe Biden are set to face off in the first presidential debate of 2020. The debate will be unlike any other in history due to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, with an audience of less than 100 people. Coronavirus set to be one of the 6 major topics for the debate, selected by moderator and Fox News host Chris Wallace. Joining me right now is Fox News contributor and former economic advisor to President Obama, Robert Wolf. Robert, it is great to have you tonight. And, of course, it's going to be this morning, and it's going to be an exciting night. What do you want to see from Joe Biden? How can Joe Biden come out a winner from your standpoint?
You know, it's interesting. I don't think it's necessarily about winning and losing. The differences are so stark. It's hard to say that these guys are going to actually be competing in some ways on the same stage. Every issue they have is just so different where they come out, whether it's taxes, healthcare. My view is there's going to be, 100 million people watching, but there's only 6% of undecided voters. That's down from 16% in 2016. And in my opinion, what Joe Biden has to do is to make sure that he clearly states what his economic policy is, what his healthcare policy is, but more importantly, just motivates his base that he's the best for the future, because that's who you're speaking to today. You're speaking to the 100 million people, but really you're almost speaking to making sure you get your base out to vote, because there's just not that many undecided voters anymore.
Robert, how is he going to make the case that fixing the economy involves raising taxes by $4 trillion?
Yeah, so 2 things. One, Maria, you and I have been looking at these numbers for many, many years, and we look at debt and we look at growth. Moody Analytics and the Wharton Research Center both said that President Biden's plan, Vice President Biden's plan, is much better than President Trump's plan. It would add jobs, and it would add growth, and it would reduce debt. Those are 2 independent studies that came out in the last week. Remember, you're talking about adding $4 trillion debt, but you're also talking about adding many trillion in growth. His infrastructure plan, which is his #1 priority, is much more broad and deep than where I would say President Trump is, which is all about cutting taxes, which we see in this economic time is not the way to get jobs back. Payroll tax cut, capital gains.
He's going to have to communicate that, because you just said infrastructure is his top priority. I got to tell you, I haven't heard one word out of Joe Biden about infrastructure. Not a peep. Let me get Steve Forbes in here, because, Steve, you've got to find out how you're going to actually communicate some of these plans to make the case that these are going to be good for the economy.
Maria, if I can just add, his Build Back Better plan is a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. So I just want to make sure that's his biggest plan.
Yeah, but he hasn't really
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, he hasn't highlighted it yet. And Robert, when have massive tax increases led to great economic growth? It didn't in the 70s. It hurt Bill Clinton in the first 2 years, helped lead to the loss of Congress for the Republicans for the first time in decades in '94. You look at blue states versus red states. Blue states with high taxes have been doing less well in recent years than red states with lower taxes. What's the case for that higher taxes are suddenly going to work with an economy that's barely recovered? It's now just getting its wind back from the lockdowns from the COVID-19 crisis.
Steve, like anything, all spending is fungible here, right? The way you're talking about is capital gains, reducing capital gains. That's not a jobs plan. That is not putting jobs back. We're seeing it right now. It doesn't help. Yes, it helps the stock market, which is 87% owned by, the top wealthiest people in the world. That's not helping industrial America bring back jobs. I would say
40% capital gains tax rate didn't work in the 1970s.
Yeah, 87% of the stock market gains have been.
I don't think the stock market is going to benefit many more people, because you've got pension funds, 401ks, individual investors all invested in the stock market. So I don't think you could say that the stock market gains are only for the rich, Robert. You know that.
The wealthier has much more stock than the less wealthy. I'm not talking about how many people are in the stock market. We're talking about what percent control the stock market. Big difference between the two.
But in terms of the capital gains tax, you're going to raise that to 40%. You're going to raise the marginal tax rate to 55–60% when you make more than $400,000 a year.
Steve, someone like you and I don't think 37% to 39%.
I would have to push back. I got to push back on something else, Robert.
Yep.
You said that cutting corporate taxes doesn't create jobs. I think that's wrong. We saw the corporate tax rate cut create jobs before COVID-19 showed up. We had the lowest unemployment rate. Why? Because when corporations get a tax cut, it reverberates throughout the organization and to different people and different income groups. It's exactly what happened in 2017, Robert.
Yes, Maria, time out. I was talking, what did I say? I said payroll tax cut and I said capital gains. On corporate tax rate, the idea is to go to 28%. We used to be at 35%. Most people in corporate America what?
But now we're at 21. Now we're at 21.
No, I understand
Robert
that.
Wolf.